David Beckham might be British, but he will go down in history as the man who changed the face of soccer in the USA. Beckham is one of the biggest reasons why soccer has gained traction in one of the world's largest sports markets over the past 20 years. How? Because he played a key role in transforming the local soccer economy and culture in the US, not once, but twice. First as a player, and now as a franchise owner. Thanks to David Beckham, soccer is finally becoming a sport that's finding an audience in an American market that has long been dominated by other sports, from basketball and baseball to American football. He's also the reason that right now, some of the most famous people on earth are paying serious attention to soccer in the USA, something that's usually only reserved for America's more popular sports. Over the past 2 decades, soccer in America has experienced a huge transformation, and one man who's consistently been at the heart of all of it is David Beckham. So this is not just a fancy story of Beckham's journey in America, no, it's the story of the impact of that journey. It's the story of how an Englishman from faraway Manchester crossed the Atlantic to become one of the most impactful figures in the history of American sports. So let's get into it. Nearly everything Beckham has done in America has been historic. It all started in 2007 when he moved to America to join Los Angeles Galaxy in Major League Soccer. Now, I could simply say that he moved to the LA Galaxy, but it's important to understand who he was when he moved. You see, at the time, David Beckham was one of the most popular sports stars on the planet. Actually, scratch that. He was one of the most popular people on the planet. He had a name and a face that was worth millions. And as much as he was a superstar on the pitch, playing for Real Madrid, the biggest soccer club in the world, he was an even bigger superstar off the pitch, with brands and businesses across the world, all wanting a piece of brand Beckham. So with this backdrop, it's clear that his decision to move to LA Galaxy was huge for Major League Soccer and for American sports.
He has Hollywood friends, Hollywood hair, and a wife who actually likes the paparazzi. But according to David Beckham, the reason he's going to Hollywood to play for the LA Galaxy of Major League Soccer is to grow the sport in America.
But there was just one problem. There wasn't a single soccer franchise in the US that could afford to pay David Beckham, based on how the MLS worked at the time. At Real Madrid, Beckham was making $20 million per year, which was 10 times more than what MLS clubs were allowed to pay their entire team combined. So clearly, this was a problem. But that problem laid the foundation for Beckham's first major impact on soccer in the US. The background here is that before Beckham joined the MLS, the league had a salary cap that restricted every franchise to pay a combined total wage not exceeding $2 million to the entire team. Now, the MLS having a salary cap was not exactly surprising, given the fact that salary caps are quite common in American sports leagues, from the NBA to the NFL, and it's seen as a simple way to ensure a level playing field for everyone in America's franchise league system where nobody gets relegated or promoted. So this existed for a very obvious reason. But you know how they say rules are meant to be broken, right? In the case of Beckham and the MLS, rules were meant to be made. To get David Beckham, the MLS created a brand new designated player rule, also famously called the Beckham Rule, that allowed teams to sign and pay stars beyond the $2 million salary cap. And they had to do this to get Beckham, because when he joined LA Galaxy, his $6.5 million annual salary was more than 3 times the salary cap limit for the entire LA Galaxy team. Now, at the time, this may have seemed like a desperate play just to get one of soccer's biggest stars, but in reality, the Beckham rule for designated players absolutely transformed the MLS, allowing franchises to attract and sign major star names from European football, including Didier Drogba, Thierry Henry, Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and of course, most recently, Lionel Messi. The only reason any of those guys landed in the US is because of the Beckham rule. And that is the first way that David Beckham transformed soccer in the US. Now, the second way he did it was by getting and holding everyone's attention, not just for the short term, but also for the long term. You see, the whole point of bending to create a new rule just for David Beckham was based on the idea that his incredible popularity and global star power would play a role in getting people to watch the MLS, in getting people interested and invested in American soccer as a whole, and taking the MLS from being an 11-year-old stuttering brand to being an established global league.
David Beckham coming to Major League Soccer has the opportunity to not just take the Galaxy to a higher level, but he has the opportunity to change the sport for generations. He could be our Michael Jordan.
Now, there are two key metrics to show how Beckham's signing lived up to those expectations. First, let's take a look at the impact on attendances at games. When Beckham first joined the MLS in 2007, the average attendance at the 13 franchises that existed at the time was around 15,000 people. As expected, Beckham's first few games in the MLS were all sellout events in stadiums across the country.
As expected, the signing of Beckham, one of soccer's most recognized stars, has started to generate increased attention in Major League Soccer, including for Toronto FC.
It's terrific for us. The phone's already ringing off the hook. We've been on a great run here. We're about 7,000 season tickets already, so we've been doing really well. And we've had like 500 calls this morning and sold another 100 tickets this morning. So it's great from that perspective.
But that impact was not short-lived, because by the last year of Beckham's contract in the MLS, interest and investment in the league was such that 6 additional franchises had been created, and league-wide average attendance at games had gone up by 20%. Now fast forward to today, and across the 29 franchises in the MLS, average attendances have crossed 21,000 people per game. The second metric to look at here is the huge spike in the value of broadcast rights of the MLS. Again, let's start with what that looked like when Beckham first joined. At the time, the league had just one broadcast deal with ESPN, which was worth only $8 million per year. But by 2014, the value of the league's broadcast rights had increased to an astonishing $105 million per year across multiple broadcasters. And now, it's showing no signs of slowing down, because last year, the MLS sold broadcast rights for $250 million per year to Apple TV, in a deal that will earn the league $2.5 billion over the next decade. That's an over 3,000% increase from just $8 million in 2007 to $250 million in 2022. Now, of course, Beckham isn't the only reason why all of this has happened, but he's a major reason. By the time he retired, Beckham's popularity and star power had raised the profile of the league, gotten more people into stadiums, gotten more people to watch the MLS on TV, and of course made it possible for other superstars to join the MLS. Now, for most athletes, that would be the end of the story, but Beckham is not most athletes. Once his playing days were over in 2012, Beckham turned his attention to becoming a franchise owner in the MLS. Now, as part of his contract in 2007 when he first joined the league, the MLS included a clause allowing David Beckham to purchase an MLS franchise for just $25 million. And within a year of retirement, Beckham cashed that clause in, buying rights to a brand new MLS franchise and establishing Inter Miami. And today, even though he's been retired for over 10 years, Beckham is still playing a key role in transforming the MLS as a franchise owner through his Inter Miami brand by pulling off the unexpected but incredible signing of Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest player of all time. And just like Beckham did many years ago, since moving to the MLS and Inter Miami, Messi has had a superstar impact like no other. Again, there's a few ways to evidence this. First, over 110,000 fans signed up for Apple TV's MLS Season Pass on the day that the Messi deal was announced. And then another 65,000 fans signed up on the day of his first game with Inter Miami. Now, that first game turned out to be historic as well because it had an average audience of 1.7 million people on Univision, making it the single largest network audience for the MLS since 2004. The summary of all of this data is that Messi is pulling audiences to the US like never before, and that appears set to take the MLS to another level. For the first time ever, the MLS can boast arguably being one of the top soccer leagues in the world, with interest in American soccer at an all-time high. And the timing of all of this could not be more perfect, with America set to host the World Cup, soccer's biggest competition, in 2026. But remember, none of this would be possible without David Beckham. Now, even though that's true, it's still important to take a step back and understand the sheer magnitude of what Beckham has done in the US. When he first arrived in the country, the expectation was for him to transform the league with his popularity and star power. But this was always going to be a tall order, because back then only 2% of people in the US said soccer was their favorite sport to watch. But today, that number is very likely to be much higher. But it's also important to understand that there was no guarantee that the Beckham experiment would be this successful or even successful at all. because this wasn't the first time that an American soccer league had pulled in a global star in the hopes that it would transform soccer in the US. Back in 1975, the New York Cosmos brought Pele into the North American Soccer League, but within 7 years of Pele leaving, the league had gone bankrupt. With Beckham in the MLS, the reverse has been the case. Attendances are up across the league. The number of existing franchises has more than doubled, with the value of those franchises exploding and the biggest of them already valued at over $1 billion. So it's clear that Beckham was more than just a pretty face that joined the MLS. He sparked growth for the league in a market where soccer was up against far more established and far more popular sports.
He played in the league for 6 years and helped get people around the world to pay attention to us. And now we hope to have him continue on as an owner in our league.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up as well. And if you enjoyed this, then check out this next video about how stars like Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema are hoping to have the same kind of impact on transforming soccer in Saudi Arabia. See you in the next one.